Welcome to another episode of the Elevated Barbers Podcast. My name is Bradford Kelly. I am the owner of Another Level of Barbering and the proud co-host of the one, the only Elevated Barbers Podcast. And I'm here with...
This is Delmar, aka the Prince, owner of Royal Luxe Grooming, also co-host of the one and only Elevated Barbers Podcast. Let's start the show.
All right, today we have another special guest, and we're not going to take too long to get into this because we got a superstar. We got a megastar. Y'all didn't think that we was going to be having the guests that we're going to be having this year, but we got him. We got him. So Delmar, we're not going to introduce her right now. I want you to say something about what you know about her, because it's a her.
This is LiciLadyBarber Barber. She's fantastic. She's an educator of Andes. She just came back from London.
Oh yeah.
Like
bring her to the stage.
Like coming to the stage. We got LiciLadyBarber, y'all. Let's go. And she coming with tons of energy. I love it.
Superstar.
Yeah.
Megastar.
Yeah.
Okay.
Megastar.
We got levels.
Yeah, we got
star,
levels to it.
super, mega. What's above mega?
Ultra
star.
Hey, let's go.
Yeah. Now
Let's
we
go.
here. This is a very, very exciting episode for me personally. I had the opportunity to be able to get to know Lici I was behind the camera when this happened, but I remember seeing something on IG. I think it was a promo for the Las Vegas Barber Expo. And you began to talk about some things that I was like, oh man, she got some depth. Like I didn't know. I just didn't know. I wasn't aware. And I said, man, she got some depth to her. I would love to be able to meet her one day. You know, that's all I was thinking. I think I had said something to you on IG one time. But you was too high in the stratosphere.
Oh my goodness.
You didn't acknowledge my life at that point. But I saw you at the NorCal Barber Expo, but I didn't get a chance to connect with you. You was there with Barberism, I Am Barberism, and I saw you connect with Tamil and United Barbers Club, and so I saw all of this stuff, but I didn't get a chance to get in there with you myself. And so then when we got to the Las Vegas Barber Expo, I saw you, and I was just like, let's get her. Like let's get
right
her
now. Let's do it.
So I'm with Armani Delmar.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, he just got into this whole move about doing this thing called Fade Talk, where he interviews high quality barbers that have high quality value, right? And so I was just like, all right, let me see if I could get Lici, right? And so I went over there super humble, man, super humble, because you know you walk into a great star. So I was just like, hey, like, hi. Oh, I was all humble. Hello, how are you doing? And she was like, what you want?
Tell me I didn't say that.
No, you didn't say that. You didn't say
that.
I'm gassing. No, you were super cool. You were super cool. And you know, when you don't know, sometimes you can have preconceived notions, or you may have fears for no reason, right? And so I had like a little small hesitancy, but I'm an outgoing person, so I was like, we're gonna see what it's gonna do. So I came over to you and I introduced myself, and I let you know that we were doing an interview, and you were so cool. And this was late, Delmar. Like this was late, bro. It wasn't even early. Show. Like, but when Armani he did this interview, man, like she opened up, and I was just like, she's gonna be good for the podcast, bro. So, Lici, let me just allow you to introduce yourself. I'm not gonna take too much more time. I spoke a lot. So.
All because you came up and said hello. You know, I feel like people lose this sense of connecting with others, like in person. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And I was just having this conversation with Don. I Am Barberism yesterday, a couple days ago. Whereas social media has created like a sort of virtual reality,
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
right? And we create this, I don't know, this like imaginary world, right? And I'm saying for those that are engulfed in social media and don't understand the difference between using social media as a tool, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and they're great behind the camera and they're great at content doing this, but when you see them in person, like going up and like shaking hands, saying hi, and like building genuine connection is almost lost.
Yeah.
So I appreciate that, like, you came up and you just said hi, because you never know what comes of it.
Yeah.
um and I don't know, I've been doing hair since I was young. Hair was one of the things that I never thought I was going to do. I was an
Really?
artist before. Yeah, I didn't want to be. I didn't even know you can be a hair artist, or a cosmetologist or a barber. I didn't know you can like create a career out of that. I actually wanted to be a doctor when I was little.
Mm.
Mm.
Mostly because I spent a lot of my time in the hospital. I had injuries. I was in a very abusive household.
Mm.
My dad was an alcoholic. My mom was a drug addict, and in that like little essence, I suffered third-degree burns. So I was in and out the hospital
Mm.
for a span of 10 years while I was young. And so art has given me an opportunity to, like, I don't know, like, reflect and kind of process
Yeah.
things that was happening. And it just started translating into hair as I started watching like the MTV music videos. We're talking about like early 90s. I was watching those, and then
Who was on at
um
that time?
it was like Janet Jackson, Whitney Houston, a lot of like the old school rappers. And I
Yeah.
was watching like they had braids. So braids was one of the first thing that I learned to do. So I would like copy on my hair. I would just replicate looks.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So that
Yeah.
was pretty dope. And then as I started getting older, 16, my father passed away. My
Mm.
father passed away. Lord forgive me for that. My father was incarcerated, and my mother passed away, and I was homeless at that time.
Mm.
For one reason or another, family essentially like turned their back on me, and it was just me in the world and
Yeah.
a pair of clippers. Like, that's exactly what I did to provide for myself at the time. So I kind of like fell into to doing hair. Um, and I remember that interview. The first thing I said, that barbering is one of the industries that gives you a second chance
Second
in life.
chance.
It doesn't
Mhm.
matter what it is. Like, you could, come out of jail and start fresh. You could be homeless and figure out a way to build an empire around you. You can
Yeah.
go through so many different avenues and aspects of like what your life is going through, but it helps you not only be creative, but also like be that voice for others that you come across with. Like, we really are pillars of the community, and I think that's the essence of barbering. Essentially, I just wanted to have some sort of stability,
Yeah.
but it got real difficult once I started getting that pushback from a lot of the men in the industry, outside the industry. Oh, you're a girl can't cut hair. Um, you don't belong in the barber world, and respectfully, like, I get that, right? Because the barber shop is essentially where men come together and they have, their bro time and things like
Mm.
that. But to say that a woman can't cut hair
Mm-hmm.
was a little bit frustrating for me, because at the end of the day, I couldn't go to school. I didn't
Mm.
have a place to live. I didn't want to go to a dead end job and work a fast food restaurant. Like, that wasn't working. So this is the only avenue that I had. And the only way that I had to prove this was through competition.
Mm.
So let me ask you a quick question, because what you're bringing up is very very deep. When you spoke about the fact that this is one of the industries where somebody can have a second chance, right? And it could be through hard times that you've gone through, but it also can be like a mental space, right? You could be in prison in your mind, or you could be homeless in your mind because you don't have a sense of who you are. And then art can become your way of self-expression, and it's like a rebirth of who you are. And so from that perspective though, how did barbering become the thing? Because there's different ways. So what was it specifically about barbering? You said you did braids when you was a little bit younger, but how did it shift into being a barber?
So that's a really good question. Because the way that I look at hair is hair, and I essentially started. And this is funny. I actually studied cosmetology first, and then immediately went it. But I was always able to barber. It was something about the barbershop, like as crazy as this may sound, my father, as abusive as he was, and like crazy as he would always be at the barbershop. He would always groom himself. So I kind of honed in on that aspect as well. And then I don't know what it is about like men's hair. I think it's just the fact that I can shave it off and draw on it that like really appeals to me. That is really probably what it was. Um, when I was able to shift my artist from painting and drawing on paper to actually drawing on hair, I found a different canvas.
Yeah.
And if you look at my Instagram, I don't post for followers, and I just post to tell like my story, what I'm doing, and all this. But a lot of my designs, they inspired from something. It's not, oh, let me just draw this little squiggly line and post it on Instagram and see what that looks like. That emotion, that wave and those curves and that sharpness and all that, like it's coming from within me. So it's an expression of myself. And I think that's what I liked about barbering. Number one. Number two, people said that I couldn't do it. So that drew me into like, it gave me a challenge. Like, okay, if you say I can't do it, I want to know why you say I can't do it.
Yeah.
I want to understand, like, why are you putting me in this box or setting parameters for how I live my life? Like, unless you're going to give me food, provide shelter, support me in one way or another, like your opinion can't touch me. You know what I mean? It doesn't really matter what you have to say. But I really was trying to understand society in itself and how it's built. Because think about this too. As a woman, and I don't want like this to turn into man versus woman. Okay, this is not what that is. I'm just giving you a perspective from a female brain, right?
Yeah.
We got to think about
Your
what it's
your
like.
audio, I think you might have moved your microphone. Your audio sounds a little different.
How about now?
Okay. Yep. That's a
Better?
little better. Yeah.
As a woman, right? Homeless, there's certain things that you're exposed to. There's certain dangers that you're exposed to, especially when you don't have support from family members and things of that nature. Then you get into relationships that you're kind of forced to get into. And then you're going into, the difficulties of being in a relationship that tries to control you in one way or another. Then outside the relationship, right, we're thinking about society and like where men have their role, right, in being the provider and like um, being like the major role in constructing a society itself, and women nurturing that aspect and being supportive to the male role, you know um
Mhm.
but when you're stepped in and you're like exposed to all of this, it's almost like you're only, as a woman, you're only allowed to go as far as they tell you can go.
Yeah.
I'm
That's
not saying that that's not today, because today is very different. I'm talking about like 10 years ago when I was starting.
yeah.
You don't belong here. This is your role. Like, this is where you belong and things of that nature. So I was just trying to understand why, you know, and that's what led me into the competitions. Now, when I studied cosmetology, I went into the barbering right after. But my first experience in the salon was in a 5-star resort in Puerto Rico. So I was
Really?
already working with celebrities that I had no idea I was working with,
Yeah.
and I thought that was pretty cool. But the first day that I walked in, it was a fashion show. I was like, I'm doing hair here and I'm doing makeup here. I'm helping models here. And I automatically loved that. And no one knew I was a student.
Yeah. Oh wow.
They saw the artistry. They didn't
Yeah.
see that. And so I just felt like, wow, they see me, and so I aspired to work production. I aspired to work Hollywood. That was my goal all these years ago. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Like, if you say that to someone now, it's like, you're dreaming too big. I'm like, watch.
Yeah.
When I moved to the States from Puerto Rico, I had to. I was living in the projects. It was still like a lot of violence, drugs, um,
What
shootings.
what's the timeline? Give us a timeline.
So this was in 2009. 2009.
Okay.
This was the time that I had to leave Puerto Rico. There was like I learned everything that I can, and everyone in Puerto Rico, they come out the womb knowing how to do hair. Like you can't really go that far out there unless like you're really connected with people. But I left to Colorado with $200 in my pocket and like one of those cardboard bins with whatever I could fit in there. And the one thing that I made sure I brought was my portfolio. I
Mm.
had this thick
You say
book.
your clippers.
No, no, I bought clippers. I had my portfolio. So it was like my resume, my certificates, like pictures of my work. And
Yeah.
like I took that book with me as soon as I got off the plane to go look for work. And
Yeah.
I landed a work right by the Broncos Stadium in Denver.
Oh
And
wow.
so this is where I started honing in as to like I started understanding barbershop culture. I started like I like the hip hop feel, the urban feel. I can be myself. I can wear baggy pants and sneakers. I could wear a hat cocked to the side and still be cool with it. Like
Yeah, yeah,
it's dope. Like I could literally express my. I don't have to like wear black pants and a button up shirt and be like, hey, how you doing today? Like I could talk with a little bit of swag and it'd be all right. So
Yeah.
that's what I like because even in some salons back then in some salons, like they even put those parameters on you too.
yeah.
And I like that.
Yeah,
I just
Delmar, he
wanted to,
had to suffer with that himself. He suffers from the same sort of the same background that you do, because he himself had to deal with salons for the first of
Mhm.
his profession. Delmar, I think you should share a little bit so at least he understands how close you all are, even though she doesn't know.
Yeah. So, so actually, I went to the Aveda Institute and studied cosmetology. Um, and my first job was an internship where Bradford was, which is called Javant Salon and Barbering. I was supposed to be there on the salon side. They had me with a hot comb in my hand, doing my mannequin,
you said a hot cone. This was
hot
years
comb.
back.
Yeah, this was 2011. 2011. So I was supposed to be on the floor on the salon side doing my mannequin, but I would always end up in Bradford's room, studying him. And me and Bradford go way back, like 20 years of friendship.
Yeah,
And he was one of my first inspirations. So I wanted to be a barber. I knew that, but I went with the mindset of let me go for cosmetology. That way I can decide if I want to do both or one or the other.
yeah,
And yeah, it was one of the other. I couldn't do the cosmetology. Like I just stuck with barbering. Like that's just it felt more natural to me just to have clippers in my hand versus a flat iron. Nothing wrong to anybody who got a flat iron in their hand, but I prefer.
It's so labor intensive.
Yeah, it
It's
is.
I respect it 100%. So I actually taught at a cosmetology school, at Paul Mitchell School, for 6 years.
Okay.
oh wow,
So I had to unlearn everything that I knew about hair to relearn it all over again. And we went through certifications and everything just so that we got approved to be able to teach the entire curriculum. So level
Mm,
4 certified in color, cutting, texture, like everything.
yeah,
Um,
this
so
is why she's an ultra star, bro. Like she's
yeah.
not
Ultra star.
a superstar. She's not
there's
a star.
phases. People don't understand that there's phases to your success.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Everybody wants to jump like here real quick, and
Yep.
you start losing like that
They don't see the
process or the
struggle.
joy of the process,
the,
right?
the process.
So
Yeah,
and I started going into my competition phase, right? And then I'll go into like different phases, but I understood that in order for me to um like be an expert at hair period, because I don't do anything else outside of hair. Now I do different things in the hair world, but it's because I was able to take those phases one at a time and really apply them.
yeah.
But um sorry, I hear somebody coming in the front door.
Oh, okay.
Hold on. But yeah, so understanding like the phases that you're going into, like people rush the process. Um, Cosmetology is very labor intensive, and then there's also health issues related to that. So back
Mhm.
then, like chemicals and color and bleach and like relaxers, all of those things had chemicals that are now like banned in the FDA and all that.
Mm.
So what started happening is I started getting sick. I developed asthma through the
Man,
Mm.
keratin treatments, and then my
yeah.
shoulder was blowing out from the blow dry. So like while I understand cosmetology in itself, for me it wasn't, it just, it was too hard on my body for me to continue that. Like, and mind you, you can make a lot of money doing it, but you also it's also like you got to be at the right place or in the
Mhm.
right environment, in the right social like community in order to charge like those top dollar amounts.
Yeah.
And so that's why I really didn't want to stick with the cosmetology, and I chose, I'm sorry, can you close the door? Thank you. I'm sorry.
It's
It's all
okay.
good.
um I didn't want to stick to the cosmetology for that reason. But here's what I do notice, that if you did take the time to study cosmetology, it still applies in barbering.
Mhm.
100%. So if you think about like the science of hair, what's hair made out of? Barbers are now coloring hair. You know, how do we do that safely? What products are we going to be able to use to keep a natural look versus more of a fantasy type look, right? The people are doing perms, like that's all cosmetology related that we don't learn in barber school, which I think is a major flaw, right,
Mhm.
in the industry right now. Um, Even cutting hair, understanding angles and like
Yeah.
um, over direction and scissor position and hand positions and styling hair,
It's
right? Men's
literally
hair is
about
getting longer, women's hair is getting shorter, and it's just
yeah,
like that merge right here. Unless
Mhm.
you've taken cosmetology
yeah,
classes, like you really don't understand how to shape hair, how to work hair, how to manipulate hair correctly. I think
yeah.
that's the issue with barbering today.
No, I agree
Yeah.
with you. It's especially with the way that the barber colleges are. Delmar, you could probably give some experience, and Lisa, you might be able to share some experience too, like the barber college or even Cosmo College setup, right? So for me, my barber college, it was pretty much just a barber shop. And I went in there, and whoever was in that immediate city, they would come in and get discounted haircuts. And I was subject to the demographic of the area, but there
Mhm.
wasn't a lot of different people of different hair types coming in. So I didn't even get a chance to practice over direction or even people that wanted color services. Like everybody in the community that I was cutting was like a two or a three and a blend and a fade and a design and all of that stuff.
Buzz cuts, yeah.
Yeah, it's all clipper cuts. And what was crazy was when I first got to my first barbershop, when I saw a long hair client come in, like most of the barbers that I was around, we was all running from that. We was just like, oh, okay, yeah, you got Bob Dole, right? So that's what we would call we call them the Bob Dole cuts. So we would yeah, it was a little bit different for me. But Delmar, did you have that type of experience? Because you went to apprenticeship for, I mean, you went to Aveda, so you kind of got taught a little bit more in the over direction and all the skilled cutting stuff, right?
Yeah, we got taught 90-degree cuts. We got taught over direction, how to use I forgot to call them now, the thinning shears, um,
Blending
color,
scissors.
yeah, color correction, all of that stuff. And that stuff I probably would have never learned in barbering school. And the crazy thing is today I don't even really do color unless it's enhancements.
Mm-hmm.
But
And that's like something that was developed by the everyday barber. Like it wasn't
hmm
something that is a part of the curriculum. And it actually, color enhancements doesn't really color hair. It just stains the scalp.
hmm
Yeah,
So as long as you're using the right color that doesn't have henna, that doesn't cause any type of reactions, like these are other things that most barbers don't think about.
yeah.
hmm
So
I had this
I
one, man, I had this one product, and my client is the one that was they was looking at the ingredients and they was just like, hey man, this stuff causes cancer, bro. And I was like, what? Like, I was like, what? And so I actually had to look at the ingredients and change the product that I use because I
Wow.
didn't know. I didn't know. And he cares. So because
Right.
he cares, he was just like, hey man, this stuff worked pretty good, but he felt like he was having breakouts and and
So
so
there is a product, a specific one out there that does cause inflammation of the skin. It causes
mm,
skin
we can't.
irritations. It does
Hmm.
that.
We're not gonna
You
bring
know.
out no names, but
No, I wouldn't
after
do that,
this,
but I'm just
I'm
saying.
talking to you. After this, I'm talking to you. I want to know which one
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
is
I
if
want to
I
know
have
too.
it.
Think about this too. The skin on the scalp is different than the skin on the face.
Yeah,
Hmm.
So most of the color enhancers are now going on the face.
yeah,
Hmm.
And that's different skin textures and everything. So while the scalp may be able to support it, right? And then you're also dense heavy with the hair follicles, so the hair is what's absorbing most, but here it's the skin that's absorbing most
yeah,
Hmm.
of the product. So that's what causes the swelling. And then also, like, if it's happening like on a repetitive basis because they're trying to keep clean,
yeah.
that's where that comes from. You know, and then
Really deep.
Yeah. Talk to him.
there's some colors that don't work well with some soaps either. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like it's like
Oh, like the
like
combo,
yes.
like the combo. So if you use soap on this particular color,
Yes.
you might
So
have a reaction.
think about like color, right? There's always going to be a specific type of shampoo that's going to stop the chemical process.
Yeah,
Right? It's going to
Mm.
stop
neutralize it.
the oxidizing of the chemical, and that's if they're mixing, right? The color in the hand. If it's already pre-mixed, then you don't necessarily have that too much. It just depends on the brand. But if you mix it with soap, like most guys don't use shampoo to wash their face, and they should because they have hair in their face, right? It's a beard.
Yeah.
They're just using regular soap, and so those soap contain certain
She
ingredients that
roasting
might
y'all.
cause the
She
face.
roasting y'all. All y'all that that just be
Yeah.
using hand soap for your face.
Because they don't think that it's like, and then they wonder, well, why doesn't it grow, or why is it so dry, or you can actually manipulate and actually cater to the beard, especially
Yeah,
like as it grows longer. You can blow dry it. There's a lot of things you can do to it. You
yeah,
can deep condition it.
yeah,
There's so many things. It's hair at the end of the
yeah,
day as well.
Hmm.
yeah. Oh, Lisi, so I got some more questions for you because you was going into your history and how you got to who you are, and we kind of took a very good detour to drop some knowledge and some education for the barbers that are out here and the beauty professionals. But I want to dive back into your story and get more into the way that barbering impacted you and the way that competitions affected your growth, even your mindset. Because this is one of the
Completely
things that I
changed.
value so much about you specifically is your strength in your mind. Like that is not a lot of times
You,
common.
ah,
And on top of it,
I get
it's
goosebumps.
not with arrogance. That's the coupling that makes for me you special is that you have a confidence, you have a strength about yourself, and there's a determination about where you're trying to go and what you've even accomplished. Like you have that, but it's not coupled with arrogance, and it has a humility that's mixed in, and that is not common in our industry. Like it's just not, especially for someone that had to fight to be where you are. Like you talk about the struggle that you've been through in life, but just even being in this industry as a woman, and it's like it's really like it's hats off to you, like hats off for you being able to be who you are. But
It
I
took a
do want to
while.
tap into how did this happen, because there's so many young ladies that are coming up behind you that look up
Hmm.
to you, right? And they may see the strength and understand it the wrong way and think that they should be
I
very
usually get oh, you're intimidating and things, but which is very easy to get, like, especially when you come across weak people, or like people that don't um understand the mindset of having goals and priorities and things like that. Like most people that you come across, like they're like, yo, let's go hang out, let's go party, let's go get fucked up, let's go do all this, but they don't say let's think about, a business proposition, let's think about that, and so I look at the world as like levels of evolution, right? Or like people are in different levels, and like I consider myself right here, and most people are like right here. And not saying that I'm better or that they're better or not. I'm just saying in their mindset, like what's your priority here? So to develop that mindset of being very disciplined and being focused and being driven, it took a long time for me to get there. Because during my teenage years, while I was trying to figure out like what to do, I was going through things. I was still trying to figure out where I was going to sleep the next day, what I was going to feed myself, how to avoid getting a whooping. Like it was just a lot of those things, like real survival type, to where the only thing in my head is like the only escape that I have from my world right now is cutting hair. That's it. I don't got nothing else. And so no matter what anybody told me, and no matter what I was going through, and no matter who my friends were at the time or who I was dating at the time, no matter what was going on, I never let like that escape me. Um, and in the barber shop, I had to post pictures of my work on my station just to prove to people that I can cut hair. I always had to go the extra mile. And actually, I was a very timid and shy human being, believe it or not,
No.
until, yeah, I was. I was very, and I was bullied in school. Like, I was bullied throughout cosmetology school. I had to always stand in the corner so that no one would jump me from behind. Like, I had to, that's the type
Where
of
were
life
you
that
at?
I lived.
This is
Puerto
in
Rico.
Colorado.
Puerto Rico.
Oh, Puerto Rico.
But also
Okay,
in
okay.
Colorado, there were some things. I'm still in the hood. Like, this is a hood chick right here. There's like there's politics, like street politics that come
Yeah.
into play. Like, and only those who are about that life like really understand. But trying to set yourself apart, right? So I was always told I was never going to be nothing more than a common hood rat, and that like never left me. Because first of all, what's a hood rat? Like
Mm.
everything that I'm doing is opposite of like I'm not looking for someone to support me. I'm not looking to be taken care of. I'm trying to find my own space. I'm trying to find my own creativity. Like I'm trying to find my own way. But this is the box that people were putting me in that I could have listened to. And it could have drove me to depression. It could have drove
Yeah,
me
for
to like drug
sure.
addiction, which I was addicted to drugs for a very short time
Mhm.
before I discovered who I was, um, like throughout this journey in the barber industry, right?
Yeah.
So I had to develop thick skin. So what changed my life in the barbershop was this client that came in, and it took him forever to sit in my chair. I was the only girl at the time, and I never told this story. I kind of tell it like in bits, but I'm cutting his hair, and this man just grabs my crotch,
Mm.
like in the middle of the barbershop. So now I'm like, yo, what's going on? Like, that's not cool, whatever. But I said it in a more colorful way.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, but I'm looking at my fellow barbers, and not one of them like stood up for me.
Mm.
Not even the shop owner. So like forget it, like they was just looking like thinking it was funny. So that's when I understood that okay, I got my back.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
can't depend on nobody else to get my back. So the next time something like this happened, oh, we throwing down, like we throwing. I had to develop the character
Mm-hmm.
of a man. Like I had to develop that masculine energy, and like weird enough, as soon as I started, la, 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 like people would come in, they don't get your in the chair right now. I don't got time to be playing with you. Like I'm sorry, I'm talking like this, but I literally had to, and I wouldn't have no issues. That's crazy, right?
Yeah, that's
As
flip shifted.
and I felt like I just had to over like myself in order to like not get played or not like get
Yeah, you're taking
stepped
advantage of.
on. So that was going on for a while in Denver. Every time there was a Bronco game, all these kids came out of nowhere and they wanted the little Bronco design on their head. I
Yeah.
was the only one that can do it at the shop at the time.
Mm.
And so that's what got me known in the community, because I was the one who was able to put the Bronco logo on all the heads. And I started like teaching myself, like, okay, this is negative. If I do this line, this is what this looks like. If I do this, then it gives me this result. So I was still like discovering myself as an artist back then, but I really honed it in. And then that was around that same time Instagram had just launched.
Mm.
So I'm going to like all the like Walgreens and I'm buying this disposable camera, taking pictures of all my work and buying these like big
Like
photo
yeah.
For
books
the album.
and peeling back the plastic and sticking the picture in and like, yo, okay, it's, you know what I mean? And so I had books of my work.
Yeah.
And so that's what I would give to people. But when Instagram launched, I was like, yo, this is dope. I can just use Instagram as my online. I was like, oh my
Yeah.
God, an online portfolio, fancy. You know, that's exactly what I used it for. And it saved me a lot of money. So I was able to afford like motel rooms and like, you know, some other things. But
Let me
that
ask you
opened
a
up.
question real quick, Lacey.
Mhm.
How long were you having to fight through this homeless period? How
Mhm.
long was
I
that?
was competing still homeless. When I did the TV
Yeah,
show, I
I
was
remember
still
you
homeless.
saying that.
Wow.
So it was 14, maybe like 3 years,
Wow.
like 3 years. So I would stay in like extended
Extended
hotels
stays, yeah.
sometimes, or sometimes I would be in motels. That sometimes I stayed in the shop. It just depends, you know. Like it, I couldn't really be in the street because Colorado's cold as it snows. I can't be outside.
Yeah.
But listen, just check this out. You know, you hear the phrase "live under your means," right?
Hmm.
Everybody's so freaking worried about what they look like. Let me get these name brand clothes and this car I can't afford and this house I can't afford, and you know, let me look good. But at the end of the day, they broke in their mind because they can't invest in anything else, right? So I
Mhm.
say that to say this: I didn't have everything. I didn't have all the fancy clothes. I didn't have nothing. Everything was hand me downs. Everything was through a thrift store, stuff like that. But when a class would come up on Instagram in San Diego that required me to purchase a plane ticket and get a hotel and then also buy the ticket to do the class, I had the money for that.
Yeah.
So my first class was a blurry fades class with Mark Morero, Papito, Bless Hands, and all them.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God, this is a thing. Like I want to do it. So I invested almost $800 to jump on a plane, go to San Diego, and do this class. And like that essentially changed I saw barbering different, right? Because I'm thinking barbering is behind the chair, in the like essentially like community homegrown. That's what that is. But like you can do more with it. And that to me was amazing. From that class I was put on through the exotics barber battle.
Oh, snap.
Mm.
This was that era.
Yeah.
I was invited to that. I had to pay my own ticket. I had to buy my own flight. I flew to Dallas. I'm still homeless. I still don't got in my name, but I got money for these flights. And the first time I went to this show, I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. We're in a club and there's like a bunch of tables and there's all these barbers and they got hats and they got razors. Los Cutted just came out with his DVD, his
Oh,
little
really? Yeah,
instructional
yeah, yeah.
DVD. And I was like, oh my, he did his own DVD. Oh my God, the t-shirts. You know, I was like, okay, so you can brand yourself, like you
Yeah.
can call yourself something and make stuff and people like really? So I thought that was dope. I'm shaking hands with all the vendors. Da, 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 da. Okay. I was not LiciLadyBarber yet. Okay.
Yeah.
And then music is playing. I'm like, yeah.
That's your
And
jam?
I'm like, I was like, what? Because the host was on there, okay, and they were counting down, and I was like, what's going on over there? So I'm running.
Delmar, she putting you to work, huh? You gonna have to sleep all lot.
Listen, I'm running. I'm running, right, and I'm like, oh my God, what's all these barbers doing on stage? And they're doing the freestyle thing, and I'm like, oh, I'm like, I could do that. I could do that. I could do way better than that. And so that is what got me into, you know what, I'm gonna start competing.
Yeah.
That's how I was gonna do it because I didn't see no women on stage.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
So
this was
You a pioneer.
2012. This was 2012, I think. Yeah. So
wow.
2010, 11, around that era. So that's what got me into competing.
So Lisa, you talk about competition and competing and making yourself known, building your brand. You mentioned something when you talked with Armani about the TV show. What TV show was this that you competed on?
Well, you know what? In order for me to talk about the TV show, I gotta tell you how I got it, like discovered and everything. No. So I was competing at the Exotics Barber Battle Tour. So every month he was in a different state.
hmm
For an entire year, I went to 12 different states and cities, and I was competing, and I like met everyone, and I started noticing like I was seeing the same people. At the time, they were all Andis educators, so I came real close with the people. I also like networked with a lot of the vendors. So when and these vendors would give me, so can you use this on stage? Give me that. Of course I used it on stage. And then it went to like, and then there was like, can you showcase at our booth? I'm like, yeah, let's do this. And then they're like, can you come to this event and like do some showcasing for this art thing? And so that's how it started going, right? For the year, and I started developing, myself as a brand. That's how I got LiciLadyBarber. I got connected with Christina Goree. She was doing the Lady Barber movement.
Mm,
At the time there was a thing of like female barbers, and we
hmm
didn't like the term female barbers because it talks specifically about gender, whereas lady was more of a title and it
hmm
was more of a class than anything else. So we were like, okay, lady barbers. So that's how I came
oh,
with
okay.
LiciLadyBarber. It's not lady like women. It's like Lady Lisi, Lady
Yeah.
Lisi the barber or whatever that. So it's more of a class thing, just to show a little bit more of an elevation and embracing the feminine energy that we have the right to, embrace and explore.
Yeah.
So it went into the major expo. So at this point in time, I was working the Major League Barber booth, and then Lee Resnick chases me down. He tells me about the TV show that he's doing called Cedric's Barber Battle. So he's like, "Yeah, we want you a part of the cast." And I was like, real cool. I'm like, "Yeah, here's my email." Da, da, da. He runs. I'm like, "Oh my god, freaking out, freaking out." Because to have an opportunity and it's not like, oh my God, I'm gonna be on TV. It's like, oh my God, everything that I work for is actually like
Mm,
manifesting, right?
hmm
Because my purpose was to get on this stage to show other women that they don't have to be afraid to be who they are. They don't have to be afraid to explore, their talents. Like
yeah.
if you have a goal and you have dreams, it don't matter what other people say. You just do you, boo. And to have the opportunity, right? Because I was just asked to be a cast member. I wasn't accepted yet. To have the opportunity to be a part of the TV show would have meant that I would have given that message on a bigger national platform.
Yeah.
And so that's the way that I saw that.
Man, that's
Wow.
tight. That's
That's
tight.
tight.
That's
It's
tight.
super tight.
I like the fact that you're a strength for future women that are in this
hmm
industry. You know what I mean? Because there's different people that don't feel like the title female barber or lady barber should be used because
Why?
the skill set
Who
is
cares?
I know. I'm just presenting the other side. I'm gonna let you go. You know what I'm saying?
Speak.
Yeah, because I got a question. I got a question about that too.
Yeah, yeah,
Go
yeah.
ahead.
No, go ahead, D. I'm gonna let you go. Go ahead.
Now, I was gonna say, so I like that you broke down the difference between female barber and lady barber, because I know coming into the industry, I came into the industry around 2011, and it wasn't really popular for a lady barber to be
You
in
see
this
that
in this
teacup?
industry. I like the teacup. Yes, you got to stick the pinky out though.
She didn't put the pinky up,
Yeah, you
bro.
got to put the pinky out.
That's not a cultural thing in the UK. That's an Americanized thing.
Oh,
Oh
really?
man, I thought we was in America right now. My bad.
I can't stand you.
No, back to the question. So like it, ladies, women coming into the barber industry back in that time, it wasn't respected. You alluded to something earlier saying that people doubted you because you were a woman getting into a predominantly male industry. But through social media, we start to see the game begin to change. And there's a lot of women that are in the industry, lady barbers, and they are nice. Like
Mhm.
and I kind of don't like that men still have the perception of she's a female, she can't be better than me. I see a lot of women with the clippers in their hand that are nicer than a lot of guys. And I feel like we can't put a label on it. My question to you, Lisi, is do you feel that women now are starting to get the respect that they deserve in this industry that is predominantly male?
I don't want to know. I don't want to say if women are finally getting the respect that they deserve.
Mm-hmm.
It's more of like women getting the acknowledgement or
Mm,
sharing a space with, like, within the industry,
right.
because in order to demand respect, that's a very harsh thing to say, you know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? And it can be like, it's just it's so much that I can say about this. But um back in the day, right, when I was first coming up, it's not that women weren't doing the damn thing. Like, females was cutting hair since World War II, when all the men went out to war and they were fighting, and women
Mm,
had to take the place in the barbershops and the warehouses, and they had to start doing these things. um, the only difference is that women wasn't exposed, they weren't exposing themselves like men were,
mm,
you know. um, and back then, because it wasn't as common for women to be seen in a barber environment, and then you have a lot of women that are also timid and don't understand how to be within that masculine energy and share that space. Like, that's where that kind of comes from, you
Mhm.
know. But it went from, as the time like evolves, right, to, oh, can women cut hair, to clients coming into the shop and say, I want that woman's touch,
Mhm.
you know. So yes, women are getting noticed, and they're getting the notoriety for being beast with the clippers. So that's no question. I wouldn't even say that the barber industry isn't male dominated, like, at all. I think that it's just a matter of, like, giving credit to where it's due, right?
mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Um, I can step into, like, Lady Barber in itself, or female barber, was coined to us by men.
Mm-hmm.
Men were the one who differentiated us, and in the same token, now you're starting to hear some men complain, or like say, why do you guys call yourself lady barbers? It doesn't have the lady in front of your license. I'm like, okay, make up your mind. You want us to be female barbers, or you don't? Like, you know, but the point of the coin lady barber was so that we can embrace, like, that femininity, and we can embrace that feminine touch. And from a marketing aspect, it's a very smart thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Um, Men go through different things than women, period. It don't matter what industry it is. Like, in life, men go through certain things, and women also go through certain things, and trying to take away the fact that we are women is not the way to go,
Mm,
you know. And if you ask a lot of women, like, what they think about it, like, they won't even mention it. They won't have, like, the courage to, and anyone who does have the courage to say something, like, it's always shot down somewhere or another. A man can talk about his experiences and his life, and, and that brotherhood is like, like, man, you did that. But a woman talks about her experiences, and she's shunned down for it or shamed for it.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
it's completely different. And
Yeah.
so the struggles that you go through trying to level up, it's like, okay, from a woman's perspective, like we got to get our self-confidence up. We got to feel safe now. Like there is so many things that goes into like what a woman goes through, especially in a field where it's particularly, saturated by men.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, I really do believe that women are respect that you deserve, just to like answer that question. And now it's just a matter of women respecting themselves so that they can be seen for the talent and the skill set they are. So that goes into another aspect of the women barbering, the women barbers. Like, how do they market themselves, and what is your brand? Is your brand like you, you know,
Yeah, you promote
you're a
something.
loctician in your brand? Are you this, or
Right.
you a model? Like, are you a model, or you a OnlyFans barber? Like, what does that look like?
Mhm.
Right.
And everybody has the opportunity to market themselves how they want.
How they want to.
Hmm.
Do your thing.
Yeah.
But I know for me, I have a bigger goal, and I need investors. I want partners.
Mhm.
That involves corporate America. And there's such thing called liability.
Mhm.
Hmm.
And if you are seen as a liability, right, and the way that you present yourself in your social media, that is going to keep you in a box. Now, you may work with certain companies and you may get certain opportunities, but it's still going to be within this realm. It won't be like,
It's not gonna be
it's
transcended.
not going to take you far. You know what I mean? It's not going to
Right.
take you in that corporate aspect. Like, I don't know the right words to put together, but I just know that in order for you to build and grow, create residual income, there's a lot of things that has to be put in place that most barbers don't even think about today, because when your hands stop working, you stop making money, then what?
Hmm.
you
Yeah.
know and so this industry is all about networking and creating and building those relationships, and
Yeah.
people, the right relationships, not just everyone. So
Yeah.
if in particular for women, it's okay for you to look good. It's okay for you to be fly. It's okay for you to embrace your sex appeal, right? But keep it in a way that it's still classy and it's still marketable in all forms, right?
Yeah.
That makes
Yeah.
Yeah.
sense?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because that's one of the things that I think I heard this in one of the talks that I've been in recently, over the last couple of years, but it never left my mind, is that there's a difference between being sexy and being beautiful.
Hmm.
And there's something when it comes to a, like, beauty comes from within and it's expressed, through the way that you communicate, through the way that you carry yourself, the way that you hold your own in conversations of it. It can look like confrontation, but you're like you were able to handle yourself when something happened negatively, like you brought up earlier. And when you're able to handle yourself in that way, it is beautiful, but
Yeah.
you're not trying to attract the wrong type of attention. You do
Right.
want attention, but it's not the wrong type of attention. And when you say the wrong type of attention, it's specifically towards your own goals, right? If you have things that you're trying to go after, like what you said, then there's certain types of attention that doesn't feed that journey, right?
Right.
There's certain types of attention that won't move you forward in the goal that you say that you have. And I think what you're saying is so key, because if a person doesn't take the time to understand what they want in this industry, then they'll never be able to move forward. You know what I'm saying? You'll just kind of like wander in this
Hmm.
industry and kind of get swallowed up by the environment that you're in, right?
Yep.
And you'll probably have fun, right? And you'll
Hmm.
probably get somewhere, but it's gonna be short lived.
Yeah.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? And then it's like, okay, what do you do with that moment? Because there's certain things and there's certain like plans and moves that you can make that can propel you, right? It's like, okay, if I do this, this is the outcome, but I know it's not gonna last forever. So what am I gonna do with the results of this particular thing? Like, people don't think that far. They're
Yeah.
like, okay, if your goal is to get more followers and to get more views, like, as an independent barber, I don't think that should be the goal. As
Mhm.
a company, right? If you have products that you're selling, if there's like uh, um, you're trying to promote, I don't know, a flavor of a water. You're trying to promote like certain things, like a tangible item. You can use social media, right, to kind of expand. Hey, we're selling this. You know what I mean? You use social media for that aspect, but social media should really be used for the independent barber that is just cutting hair, doesn't have any products to sell, or anything to tell your authentic story.
Mm.
Hmm.
Because a lot of people that have all these followings ain't doing shit in real life. And I know this for a fact. And people that are doing what most people wish they could do don't even got more than 3,000 followers
Hmm.
Mm.
because they're paying attention to their actual goals. You
Yeah.
know, someone once told me that if you want to be successful, you need to dominate your community. You dominate your community, then you dominate the state. Then you go bigger and bigger and bigger. What people are doing now is that they're trying to be big in a virtual platform that has nothing to do with their home base,
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
and they can't monetize that.
Yeah.
So I mean, and I have a big following, but I don't post all the time. I literally share what I have to share, and people say that I need to post more, but I'm like, I got so many things going on right now. Like I'm traveling in and out the country. I'm supporting, managing a shop. I have other side projects that I'm doing in production and working with different celebrities and all these other things that like most people don't know on social media. People think that I just cut hair and I
Right.
do designs. There's so many other things that I do outside of what is shown in social media, but at the same time I'm being authentic and true to myself, and I'm not going to consume myself in the virtual reality of this world called social media,
Yeah.
unless it's for a specific marketing purpose and it's going to drive some sort of solution somewhere. But
Mhm.
the followers is not going to be it. Views is not going to be it. um I'm looking for that residual income. I'm looking for my retirement plan. That's
Yeah.
what my mindset is at.
Yeah, because all that stuff that you just mentioned is it's irrelevant anyway if it's not bringing you any, money.
Yeah.
It's just numbers
I'm
on
not
that
saying
social
that
media
it's not
platform.
important. I'm not
No, it is
saying that,
important.
but I'm not gonna freaking like die over it. Like I'm not gonna
Right.
consume
Right.
my. Oh my god, I gotta post something. It doesn't matter what
Yeah.
it is
Yeah.
because if I
Yeah.
gotta post 6 times a week, let me just post something
Yeah.
that makes no sense at all, so that
Yeah.
the algorithm like what is that about? You know what I mean? Like no,
Yeah.
it needs
That's
to
what I
be
was getting at.
purposeful, right?
Yeah. You
Yeah.
can't be consumed by social media.
Your smile is so big, bro.
Oh,
I
for
love it.
real? Yeah, the Lord has blessed me. The Lord has blessed me.
I love it.
Yeah. So I think we've had like a super good podcast so far. I have one more question. This is one more question. And this is like a little bit off subject, but it's still within the industry. But I've been asking every guest that we've had on this particular question, and it has to do with booking. It has to do with booking. So my question to you is, what would you say is some pros to online booking, and what are some cons to online booking? What have you noticed?
So like online, because I manage a shop,
Hmm.
I look at this a little differently as opposed to like just online booking. I look at it as a management software, CRM.
Okay.
The booking app or whatever you want to call it needs to be able to do more than just book appointments for me. Like I need to be able to collect information. I need to be able to see how many clients are repeat, how many are new, what my average service ticket is, how many cancellations I've had, how many no-shows I've had, what was taken in cash, what was taken in credit card. I need to be able to see that information in order for me to like see where I'm trending and where like where my big points are and where like areas of improvement are. So when I think about like online booking, you need a system that is going to put everything on a platform for you. It not only frees up your time, it allows the client to really look and they're able to see your schedule and cater their own experience to, to complement their schedule within the parameters that you set
Yeah.
online, right? So you are essentially creating a space, right, or a boundary, like don't call me. And I have clients try to reach out to me on Instagram. I don't even look at it. There's a platform, there's a system in place. You either like go online or you call the shop, and that's like how you do that. But I'd say that is one of the most important things when it comes to having a software that is going to manage your business, whether you are a business owner or an independent contractor. But it, it's really important, especially if you rent a booth, to have that software. Don't keep everything on your phone. Like, first of all, taxes is going to be crazy for you to try to backlog all that. Um, and then in order for you to market to your clients, right? I like to see what clients haven't been in a while, and I pull up a report that shows me all this information. I can send out a small campaign to those. Like, there's so much more than just filling up your schedule. It's like, okay, now it's all about the information that you collect. So this is my clientele base. You know how many clients you need per year to be successful. People don't even know that. If I tell you how many clients you got, they can't even give me a number,
Yeah.
because all they're looking at is this one little thing, online booking, and not looking at the bigger picture.
Yeah.
So it's absolutely necessary um, to keep your business in order, but you can also um, analyze the data for you to continue to grow. And
So,
that's what people need to look into.
but what would okay? Because those are all pros. Those are all pros, and you're coming from a higher level of thought process because you actually own or manage a barber shop or an experience for multiple barbers, right? So you manage that. So your mindset is on another level. I like that. I like that a lot. But what would you say would be an advantage that you don't have right now that you would want from a booking platform?
An
Ooh,
advantage that I don't have.
like what would you want the platform to do that currently you might not have that you would want? You're like, man, I wish they would do this.
The only thing that I would say with the platform that I'm working on, I want to be able to reach out to my clients through the app and not my personal number.
Yeah,
I think that's the only thing. Outside of like any other analytics and reporting issues, like that's the main thing, because I don't want clients to have my personal number. I don't want, so, but there are times where I get a gig and now I got to reach out to all my clients, and I'm not in the shop, so I can't call them from the shop.
yeah.
So the only other option I have is to
You
like
gotta hit up
message.
on
I don't want that. So
yeah,
if the platform can provide like a ghost number, like that is within the app so that we can reach out to them, that's like beautiful.
yeah.
Um, that's
What
that's
about
literally the advantage that I'm saying.
yeah? No, I'm with that. I'm with that.
Hmm.
I actually, yeah, I have a different business number than my personal number, and it actually funnels to actually like a front desk. So my front desk handles the communication for me. So I'm with that. Um, now, does your how I should say it like this instead of like using the booking platform as an example, but do you still happen to deal with like late cancellations or no shows?
I
Um,
have a policy in place. Um, yeah. Why
so
you
wait,
laugh?
wait, no, I laugh at the way that you responded. Like
I do. I have a policy in
Straight
place
to
because
business.
straight to business. So
it's
so
one of the reasons why like these booking apps or these softwares is important, because it protects your time. And it also like sets the boundaries, and not boundaries, but sets expectations for your clients.
yeah.
So um cancellation policies is in place, late policies is in place, you know what I mean? And what I like to do is I'll send those policies in an email.
Hmm.
Hey, this is like, thank you for choosing la 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 la. These are blah blah blah, and this is how this works. Have any questions? Go online, book with us. La la la. That's it. And then when they do show up late and they get hit with that cancellation fee and they try to contest it, they can't because they already received the information.
Hmm.
So it's all about protecting your assets.
So
Yep.
does your cancellation fee, is it automatic? Like, is it automated, or you have
No,
to?
we can choose, because of course, like, there's certain things that you can't help, like, there's certain, like, situations where, that can come up, so it's under the discretion of the barber or whatnot, but we can choose to apply. So we'll get that, we'll apply it as a no show. I can choose to make this client prepay from now on
Yeah,
every
yeah,
single
yeah.
time. And I can charge the cancellation fee, whatever that looks like. But essentially, what I look for is making sure that I'm protected if they dispute it.
Yeah.
So
Hmm.
that's what that looks like. Even though you have to accept and acknowledge the policy every time you make an appointment, because you received this email or this text about our policies,
Yeah.
like, you were informed, about it, so you can't really contest it. And so
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
your protection.
Yep.
Yep. I do the same thing.
Yeah.
Every time you book, you get that email. It say cancellation policy and no call, no
Now,
show.
in the same token, if
Hmm.
you are late and if you no show, you better be prepared to give a free service.
Oh yeah, definitely. That's why I'm always there.
Who you talking to?
I'm just saying.
Who you talking to?
I'm just
That's good
saying.
business right there. That's good business. So you speaking to the people on YouTube. Y'all hear that?
Yeah, I'm talking to me.
'Cause we do that. We already
Yep.
do
I'm just
that.
saying, like, you
If
have to preach or practice what you preach and all that.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
One of the
just
definitely.
know.
things to add to that, Lisi, I literally just had to do that. There was a situation that came up with a client where I had to inform him that I wasn't going to be able to do his service. There was a slight issue where they came at the time that they expected to come, but they weren't scheduled at the time that they were supposed to come. You know what I mean? And so I had to make up for that. So I'll explain, Delmar. I see the look of
Yeah,
confusion on
I'm
your
Your
lost.
face.
face. You're
All
like,
right,
I don't remember
so
this.
I'll just break it down to you. So my front desk did not reschedule this person to a earlier time, and they have like a standing appointment, and
Mm.
so they didn't put him on the normal time or their new normal time. And so they came at the new normal time, but they were still scheduled for their old normal time, which was a little couple
Oh,
hours
Booking
later.
error.
Yeah. And so I told him, I was just like, hey man, like I am super sorry. I can get you a little bit later, like at the other time. And he was just like, it's cool. I'll I could stay or whatever. And I was just like, thank you for staying. I was just like, so I'll do the service, but I'm not going to charge you for the service because you were expecting to come at this time and I didn't deliver on that.
Good
So
business.
he said, he was just like, man, nah, I'm not tripping off that, man. I'm not tripping
And
off
they'll
that.
pay you anyway. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like,
I told
good
him,
business.
I said, no. I said, I will not accept your money. I said, because I did not come through on what I promised. And because I didn't do that, I won't allow you to pay me. Like I won't even allow it. And he was just like, bro, that's you doing too much. I was like, no, I'm doing what real businesses do. And I'm respecting my clients just as much as I would want you to respect me. So if
hmm
I was to, like quote unquote just be like, okay, cool, thanks for caring a little bit, then it gives permission for him to do the same, or anybody else that even hears about that story to do the same type of behavior will be like, bro, you remember that time? And they gonna bring it up. Like, you remember
Yep.
that time that
You
you
can't hold nothing over me.
yeah, yeah. And it's like nah, like if we respect each other, but if really when you learn how to respect your own business, then you'll honor what you're telling people. You'll honor what
Yeah.
you're promising different clients and customers. You'll honor that because you understand that those promises are building the parameters for a relationship.
Yeah.
And that relationship is going
Key,
to be something that can grow into a
key,
lot more,
key.
especially like what you was talking about, Lisi, where you're trying to get into understanding about residual income or passive income. A lot of that kind of stuff can happen through your clientele if you
hmm
put yourself in a position where they can respect you as a person, respect you as a business provider, and then respect you outside of the chair because maybe things that you are growing in and developing in, and you're bringing yourself into a stratosphere where now you're going to be a benefit to them outside the chair as well. It's just like, oh wow,
That brings me to, like, a point.
Go to that point.
where like just thinking, okay, if I'm a barber, I need to be respected in the barbershop for what I do. But most of my clients are from the community. So when I step out the barbershop, I still need to display that type of integrity. Like,
Yeah,
and you know what? I never even thought about it right now until you said something. Like, that's exactly how I carried myself. Like, from day one. I
yeah,
understood that I couldn't go to the clubs and be acting all crazy because I'm like, yo, these people could be my client. Like, I understood
Hmm.
that I couldn't like
yeah,
act a certain way because now it's like you take on the responsibility of being a pillar of the community, right? And especially for a woman, it's really important to uphold yourself into that, like that standard. And it just
yeah,
opens up. Like, I love that I can work with my clients and then they bring their wives in, they bring their sisters in. Oh, can you
Yeah.
do their hair too? And it's just
yeah.
like that, like to where everyone is just comfortable.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
I was going to the point that I said about like investing and working with different people, but also just being open with the community to walk in and make it feel like a safe space,
Yeah,
you know and I thought that was like really amazing. But it really does matter like how you carry yourself, the way you speak. It's
Yeah.
important that you read books, that you study, you learn a little bit about everything. And then just like open up those conversations with people in your chair are the ones
yeah,
that are gonna get you out of a lot of trouble if you ever need the help. You know what I mean?
yeah.
But
Relationships
the clients should turn into family. Like it really should.
Yeah.
matter. Yeah, and it's such a crazy situation that we're in right now because the push for the high ticket client and all of this stuff is causing people not to trust what you just said about building relationships with people.
Hmm.
You could price people out because of your arrogance, and it's unnecessary. You know what I'm saying? But you, if you want, and that goes to you understanding what you value out of life, right?
Right.
It goes to who you are as a person because yeah, we want to make all of us want to make as much money as we possibly can. Like that, you would be lying if you didn't say that you wanted to make more money, right? But there's a point at which you could be doing people a disservice because you're so focused on money from the wrong perspective that you forgot to give value, and you're not
Hmm.
giving the value in a space, in a place where people that have been serving or catering to you can still live. Now
Yeah.
you gonna outgrow some people. That's just facts. You're gonna outgrow some people, but it's a heart behind how you do what you do. There's a motive behind what you do that I'm hoping, as time goes on, we'll be a little bit more careful because you're damaging relationships for no reason. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're cutting off people for no reason when those could be your tickets to the passive income. Those could be your tickets to the residual income that you have in your heart and in your mind, but you're looking at the short-term money versus the long-term gain.
Hmm.
What you about to say, Lizzie? I see you. I
Because
see
I'm like you because you're saying all the right things and it's feeding my soul, like it's just like food. And
you.
it made me think about people talking about these $100 haircuts and knowing your worth and all this
Yeah.
fancy that they say on social media. Like I I could do one haircut right and make $1,500 on it and do the same haircut and make $40.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And when you're pricing out your services, I feel that these barbers that want to charge all this money for a haircut, they're thinking about self.
Mm-hmm.
I'm the celebrity. I'm the shit. Like, so you want my time, you need to pay for that. I think that's the wrong mindset to have. Not saying that if you're in the right location, right, and you're in the right demographic and you're in the right, like everything fits, $100 haircut may be the case. But the majority of people don't have shops in these high society places or these like expensive or luxury areas. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? And even if they did, they're probably getting gentlemen's cuts and things like that. They're not doing the urban type of haircuts. So when you're when you're thinking about, okay, I'm gonna charge $100 haircut because this is my work, because I got all these followers on social media and all this they want to say. It's like, no, that's not how business really works. You know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
at this point, like, are you a team player? What are my what's the shop price list? What is everyone else charging? Is there a tier system set up? Like, okay, so this is like beginner barbers, or this is like this.
Yeah, it's
That
ISO. Everybody's a
established?
superstar.
Is that established? Okay, for this service, what else am I washing your hair? Are you getting a massage? Like, are we doing a facial? We turning on this steamer? Like, what we doing? Does that encompass a little bit more time? And so I think that the focus needs to be back on the real celebrity, which is the person that sits in the chair. And
Talk
if
to him,
you,
Lisi.
and if
Talk
you
to him.
want, I'm just saying, like, if you want to earn their business, and
Mhm.
you want to provide a valuable service that is worth the $60 or the $100, then everything needs to fall in place. But there's also rules to the game, and there's ways to be done. You don't want to disrespect the shop by charging way more than everybody else. That has to be a team thing. You know, there has to be like certain things in place. It's just things like that. Like, maybe you have your own suite in the back, and like, okay, this is an elevated service for this much, and you promote it that way. But just because you think that you work with a couple of celebrities, and you think you're and you got all these followers, and you work with all these freaking companies, and like, because of that you're gonna charge $100? Get out of here.
Yeah.
There's no way that you have a loyal clientele base off of that stat. Now, if you're charging $100 haircut, and you're doing all the like, you already went through the appropriate channels, and there's an established baseline price and tier system in place, and you come into an agreement with the shop owner and the team, and there's a right way to market it, and you said all these things that you're getting this, that, and the third for this particular service, then you do that. But you're not charging $100 because you think you the you know
Yeah.
what I mean? And that was the point that I wanted to get at, because like I said, I've been in the position where I can make 1,500 in a haircut, and then that same haircut could cost me $30-$40. you
Yeah.
know but it just depends where you are. So when you are providing a service and you in it for the people, you take yourself out of that. You know what I
Yeah.
Yeah,
mean?
Man,
yeah.
she dropping gems.
Gems,
She's
gems.
dropping gems. Delmar, go ahead, man. I know you got probably more questions or something like that. We got to get off though, but it's this been like I've been feeding. You know what I'm saying? I've
Yeah,
been feeding
yeah.
from this. So Delmar, go ahead.
No, I just want to say, Lisi, like, I appreciate you taking time out your day and coming on our platform and giving so many people your story. Like,
Yeah.
your story is inspirational to everyone who is listening. It is motivational. Like, when I think about your story, I think about mind over matter. Like,
Mm.
you was put in certain situations and you was told different things that you couldn't do, and then you just overcame all that negative energy with your mindset, and you still have that same mindset today. And it's inspiring others to, hey, look, she did it, she went through this, I can do this too. Or, she's setting goals, I can set goals too. And
Yeah.
just I just was soaking up everything from you today, like a sponge. Like, this was phenomenal, really.
I'm gonna leave you with one thing, right? The TV show that I was a part of did not do much for the other competitors that participated, but for me, it changed my whole life.
Hmm.
When I competed, when they gave the CW said you need to get your to Newark,
Hmm.
and I asked them, okay, where's my money or my plane ticket? They said I needed to pay for my own flight,
Hmm.
and the money that I had to put down for a deposit for an apartment, I had to actually use it for my flight to compete.
Wow.
And when I competed, I was going through a really difficult situation with my kids. I was going through a really difficult, like, it was a really hard time that no one would know about. And when I went through the process, and Cedric the Entertainer said, and the winner is Lady Barber, I fell to my knees because it wasn't the win. It was like, you gave me a second chance.
Mm.
Yeah.
Because I went that day, I went from investing all my money to going to all these shows, like being a pioneer and an example for other women, to now I'm getting hired to do the events. I'm getting asked to judge here. I'm getting asked to do this. I'm getting flown out. Plus I'm getting a fee. I won $1,500 or $15,000, and I was able to move to Texas and open up a small shop, and I invested the rest to go to be an educator because I was offered the opportunity to teach, and I didn't feel that I was worthy enough yet. And I was thinking, like, if I'm going to be given the responsibility of elevating the standard of this industry, I really need to know how to do that. And
Hmm.
so I invested to be the teacher. I used my prize money to pay for for school.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
then I worked at the school. That's how I got the job at Paul Mitchell, the school. And I said, this is where I'm going to be, and I'm going to really be good at this. Because if I prepare myself enough, when I do get the opportunity to step on a platform and speak to people, I wanted to be to elevate your soul, your mind, the industry, and so on. And that it just continues to grow so that as a whole, we're respected, because this industry is getting the licensing pulled back. You just cut hair. It's not important. And we do so much more than just cut hair.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
feed into lives.
Yeah.
And this industry gave me that purpose. And it's what I've used to raise my daughter, my son. They can tell me today that they're proud of me. And if I have one message to leave to any, whether you're a man, woman, whatever that looks like, don't ever give up on your dreams, and don't believe the lies that other people tell you. Because most people that tell you anything that is negative, it's a reflection of a pain that they're going through, and they're projecting it on you. And if you believe that, it can cripple you.
Yeah.
So just understand that people have their own pains and they're going through their own journey.
Yeah.
And as long as you have your goal set in place, God is going to open up those doors. You just got to be ready to follow it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's it.
I think
Woo!
I think that's beautiful to end on.
Man, I thought I was gonna say something at the end, but nope.
Nah.
Nope.
I don't want to water it down.
Yeah. That was some good words to end on. As you guys heard it from LiciLadyBarber herself. Don't believe the lies. Understand that people can project themselves on you, but you have to know who you are and where you're trying to go so that you do not get distracted. That was so beautiful. So I am Bradford Kelly, again, owner of Another Level of Barbering, and this is Delmar, but this is LiciLadyBarber.
Hey, shout
Thank
out to
you.
the energy that you brought on the show too, Lisi.
Yeah, yeah,
Thank you for having me on. This was fun. Like, it was really good. I didn't know if I was gonna be able to do it, but like, I just things, the way they align, you just can't deny it. You know
Yeah.
what
yeah,
I mean?
yeah,
And so this is an era where everyone is listening, and people wanting to know stories, and they're asking questions, and like, you just discover things. So you guys keep doing what you're doing.
thank
Don't lose the reason and the purpose behind your podcast, because this is more than just talking about, how to run a business and how to grow your business. It's about opening up the mindset
you.
of
Yeah,
the people that are going through real life and are using this industry to provide for their family.
yeah,
Yeah.
So you continue to do what you're doing.
thank you
Nah,
very
thank
much.
you. Thank you. Appreciate that, Nixie.
Yeah. So that's gonna be the end of episode 3 of season 2 here with LiciLadyBarber, Delmar the Prince. I am Bradford Kelly, but we are out.
Bye.
Peace.